Hey, welcome back. This is our third in the series of three different specific sessions on how to handle performance pressure. If you have not viewed the first two in this series, I would recommend you going back. The first one in this series looked at gaining the perspectives and approaches to understanding performance pressure and understanding your own performance pressure. The second one in this series looked at proven, tried and true applications to how to use pressure to your advantage, how to cope with pressure to your advantage. Again, people have told me that they come back to those two things as reminders, because a lot of times as we advance in our performing career, we lose touch with some of the basics. And going back to these basics of the principles as well as basic applications keeps us grounded, keeps us in touch. As promised, in this final one of the three-part video series on handling pressure, I'm going to share with you two secrets that successful performers have employed and even rely on in handling pressure. Now, these may not be secrets at all to you, but you do not know probably the power of each of these. So I'm going to talk to you about these. So just take it in without judgment right now. Okay? The first one is a word that I have used very sparsely in this whole 200 level series on purpose, because I wanted to specifically address it in this session. One of the key ways of understanding pressure, coping with your pressure, and channeling your pressure into better performances can be summed up in one word. And you won't even guess what the word is. It is this. It is rhythm. I have found from learning from different performing artists, from the fine arts to the performing arts to business people to students to athletes of all kinds, that whatever this word means to you is a touchstone, is a cornerstone for you staying in control of yourself, for you making adjustments, to you settling into your optimal flow of your performance. And that is rhythm, along with its nephews and nieces of timing and tempo. Rhythm is the umbrella concept of how you allow your best self to come out in a natural, connected way of rhythm. Rhythm is a way of connecting with you and the situation. It's a way of blending with the situation, the performance situation. Remember back to those of you who viewed the 100 level series of this, of how to perform at your best, we talked about performing personality types. And I gave you a very simple, not simplistic, but simple way of viewing your performance personality. Remember, either you are a thinker or you are a feeler. As you can imagine, I'm a thinker. I diagnose things, I analyze things. But there's also, like my nephew, who's just a beautiful performer, that he is a pure feeler. You ask him, what did he do to perform well? He'll say, I don't know, just did it. So both of these are quite acceptable. And both of them, you should honor whichever one you tend to do. Within each of those, though, this concept of rhythm can have specific meaning. For thinkers, think rhythm. Analyze what elements of your performances do you think rhythm? Are things connected with yourself? If you are a feeler, feel rhythm, particularly within pressure. Feel your optimal rhythm. And it may not necessarily for feelers be words or concepts. It could just be an unfolding or a sound or an image. For thinkers, there are words and concepts, affirmations to follow. But if you're a thinker, think rhythm, and then readjust yourself to that. If you are a feeler, purely and simply feel your optimal rhythm. Do that before performances so that if you come into adversity or lose your way during a performance, you can come back to it. As a sidelight, I've come upon just in the last 4 or 5 years or so, another way of doing this. And that is some people benefit from doing the opposite. For example, if you are a thinker, feel rhythm. And that just opens up all sorts of possibilities and releases your critical, analytical self of just feeling rhythm. Now, it may not be as specific and precise and artistic as a feeler feeling rhythm, but it has its advantages. So if you're a thinker, feel rhythm. How does that feel? How does that unfold into a flowing of your performance? Conversely, you may want to experiment, if you are a feeler, to think rhythm. Sometimes feelers lose their way and they don't know why. For them to think rhythm is a little more analytical way of doing it. And sometimes that will help them reconnect with their ideal selves. So optimally is that thinkers should think rhythm, but once in a while they should feel rhythm. Optimally, feelers should feel their rhythm to go back into the flow of that. Occasionally, they may want to think rhythm. Hopefully that makes some sense. But rhythm connects ourselves. Rhythm puts ourselves back with our best selves in the situation. So this concept, whatever it means to you, rhythm is both a means to you staying in touch with yourself and coming back to yourself, as well as an ends of the ultimate goal of how you're approaching your performance. Rhythm connects, rhythm keeps you on track. So this is a very personal definition for you. What does rhythm mean for you in your performances? For example, if you're a business person giving a presentation, rhythm could be connected with the sound of your voice, the sound, the expression of your gestures and facial expressions, of you connecting with the audience. If you are a musician, rhythm is you connecting with yourself, with the instrument, with the notes, with the environment. If you are an athlete, rhythm could be something as just tuning into your body. Your body is indeed the instrument, like a musician. Use rhythm to further define and expand. Here's another application of rhythm. Feel rhythm or think rhythm, especially in transitions in your performance. That your rhythm it may be needing to be adjusted based on where you're at in a performance. If you're running a marathon, 26.2 miles, your rhythm will change as you fatigue. That you may have a long and fluid, powerful stride for the first 16, 18 miles. The last 8 miles or so, your rhythm may be a little more fatigued and labored, and it could be more purposeful during those times as well. So during transitions, as openings or closings, or mental sticking points, remember what we talked about, mental sticking points, key into the rhythm and the rhythm which is required at that place and time. Do some thinking, do some feeling about what your optimal rhythm is in your performances. It is a way back to yourself. It is a way back to the here and now. On a related subject to rhythm is that I believe, even though a lot of the statistics and metrics right now say there is no such thing, I believe there is such a thing as a clutch performer who comes through in the clutch when the pressure's on. And it's been my experience that the clutch performer doesn't necessarily try harder or become more intense. On the contrary, the clutch performers who come through and produce when the pressure is really on are the ones that settle back into themselves of what they can control, settling back into their optimal rhythm, settle back into the present moment. That may be scary for some folks. Other ones, the clutch performers, feel comfortable and simplifying themselves back to them, the moment, and their rhythm. And they come through with that. So rhythm is both the means to improvement, means to yours coming back, and an end result of what you want to be and exude. Rhythm connects, rhythm prevails. Hopefully that makes some sense for you. And hopefully you can learn how to use your own conceptions of rhythm on something on which to rely. You can rely on your own rhythm because the rhythm is your most inner expression of yourself in performances. That's the first secret. The second secret, again, may not necessarily be a secret to everybody, and that is the best way to cope with performances and the pressure performances in the long run is to approach it from a balanced lifestyle. Too many people make sacrifices. Their whole lives become committed to their performance area and it almost becomes too narrow, too skewed. The best performers, as they grow, as they mature, understand, yeah, it's great to be purposeful. It's great to specialize in their performance area. But in order to elevate their performances, elevate higher levels of pressure, that they have to come from a base of a balanced lifestyle. That doesn't mean you're giving up on your priorities or your commitments to your performance area, but it gives you a greater foundation of looking at your own lifestyle, of developing other interests, being part of significant, purposeful relationships at all levels of your life, looking at your nutrition, your overall health. All of these are put together to have a foundation of your lifestyle. Yes, you still are committed to being an elite performer, but you're coming with it with the attitude, my performance is important and it's not the end of the world. It is not my sole purpose for living. I have seen so many young, wonderful performing artists and athletes burning out at the age of 16, whether or not they have little league parents or have coaches that are demanding on them or not knowing any better. They just throw themselves into that specialty. And if they become injured or they grow beyond that, they burn out. What a sadness. What a waste. Not so much of them burning out, but they put themselves in this flame of trying to excel. Is that the ones who really endure are the ones who get past these initial phases of having parents or coaches that push them and learn how to balance themselves, how to expand their lifestyle, learning to have significant friendships, romantic, committed relationships, connected to a bigger picture. Then they can apply themselves a lot more purposefully and forcefully when they choose into their performance areas. We have seen just in the last, I'm recording this in June of 2022, we have seen in the last 5 years or so that the question, is there a limit to the amount of pressure in our performances we can take? And we're starting to see some examples of it. Are there limits to that? Sometimes our whole lives become around it. You add these dimensions of fame and publicity and media relationships and the pressure of doing those things. We've had people from the great skier Michaela Schifrin Michael Phelps, Naomi Osaka, the great tennis player, and other examples of people who have seen themselves on the pressure cooker for so long that they lose track. They lose touch with their selves, why they got into the performance areas in the first place, that they're more, have to respond more to their public image and media relationships and outstanding performances that they have to keep on elevating themselves to. Are there limits to performance pressure that we can endure, that we can cope with? We may very well see those limits as real. Again, having a balanced, broad lifestyle that includes your physical health, your emotional health, your mental health, as well as your spiritual health, all comes together to help you go on with a purposeful life. Sometimes we're under such pressure to win that we forget why we're in that. Look at your own lives right now. What things have you sacrificed that you wish you never would? That's one of the steps of gaining back some broad base foundation back into your life. That if you come up with this, that's not the end of the world if I fail at this one performance. If I choose to, if I commit myself, I'll do better the next time. But you're coming from a broader base of your physical health, mental health, spiritual health, of which you can rely on. You become a bigger, more balanced person. And that will be your safeguards for handling specific performance pressures. I will bet that even if they will be available to give interviews about their areas, great performance like the gymnast Simone Biles or Michael Phelps or Michaela Schifrin may say that they've become so sharp, so specialized in their lives that they've lost touch with who they are as a person. What a shame that is, where the performing arts and sciences should be the highest expression of ourselves, application of ourselves as human beings. It crosses that fine line where the edge becomes nicked and dulled at the expense of us keeping growing as a person. You're only on this planet for 105 years. And yes, there may be phases in your life where you want to excel in something. What I've found in areas of career development here in the 21st century is that we need to become generalists more. Now, generalist is not a person who does a spattering of different things in a halfway competent way. A generalist is a person throughout their lives that have done a series or a sequence of specializations so that they excel in many things. Same thing in our own lives. Can you excel in your relationships with others? Can you excel in being a parent? Can you excel in being a marital partner? Can you excel in your careers? All of these form such a more solid foundation for anything that you want to apply in your performance areas. Some of you, most of you have never thought in those areas before. I would like for you to consider those things. So these two secrets, and they may be secrets to you. There may be things you never thought of or much less actively worked on. Rhythm and having a broad, developed lifestyle. Both of those are the two secrets of performing better when you want to choose to perform better, when you're committed to performing better under pressure, so that you can really rise to the occasion, excel to the challenges, and prove some things to yourself. But after that pressurized performance, there is still yourself. And that's who you have to look at in the mirror at night. Who am I? I'm much more than a performing artist or a business person or a student or athlete. Who am I beyond that? That's where you have to come up with some answers. Rhythm is a way to come back to yourself. Having a lifestyle is a way of grounding yourself. So give these some thoughts. This 3-part series of understanding pressure, techniques and tactics for applying to coping with pressure and unleashing your pressure, and this final video in this 3-part series of a couple of the secrets of pressure. Hopefully all 3 of these will put some perspective of how you're using pressure to your advantage. Again, I would like for you to see it in a positive way of how to use pressure to your advantage, using the energy of pressure to your advantage. There is such joy, satisfaction in you feeling you can stay in the flow, stay in the moment, and rise to the occasion, maybe that you've never even dreamed of. Sometimes these peak performances, these A-level performances, come out from these simple foundations. Find out for yourself. In the last part of this entire 200-level series on how to perform at your best, I'm going to have 4 or 5 videos on how to win, how to gain the results you want. As much as we talked about being in the moment, emphasizing the flow of things, it's nice to know some techniques and tactics of how to win. And so that's where we'll be going from here on out. This is Tom Kubistant. Replay these series whenever you need to or whenever you want to, and learn and adapt. Thank you.